Okay, here we are with Justin Price. Now, Coach, this is your first or fifth year at CCHS. Talk a little bit about the expectations from your first day here to right now.
Well, they've increased dramatically over the last 5 years. The expectations inside of our walls have always been high. We've always expected our kids to play at a certain level, at a certain standard.
Right.
Outside of the walls, the expectations weren't very high when we first got here. And obviously with the past 2 seasons that we've had, our players have raised those expectations for themselves by the way they played, by the way they've practiced. So, we're excited and we embrace the high expectations, but with that comes a lot of work. To
Right.
reach those expectations, you have to put in the work and the time and the effort to reach everybody, for everyone to reach their potential.
Right. And, the community has bought into this as well, haven't they?
Yeah, our support this year is the all-time high for us as a program. We're just really pleased to represent our community. When we came here, we wanted to build a program that everybody here was proud of, and that had nothing to do with the wins and losses. It was just something that people wanted to come on Fridays and watch our team play, and whether we won or lost, they were just proud of us. And
Right.
I think we're at that point right now. We got to maintain it, but I think a lot of people are proud of the effort and the way our kids play every Friday night.
Now, you played. I have noticed that all preseason long, Justin, you have played different teams with different styles, but they've all been winning football teams. Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, I think preseason the scoreboard isn't on, so the win-loss record doesn't count. So you want to try to expose your players to as much diversity as possible, whether
Right.
it's different schemes, different types of athletes. But the main thing, you want them to see a winning program, what it's like. Teams that may have above us right now. Webb's won so many state championships, and Fulton and Knox West is coming off a recent one. So those guys have all played at the highest level, won state titles, and I think it's good for our kids to experience that. And I thought we handled the environment very well. I think a lot of that can be intimidating at times for
Right.
a program like ours who's just now starting to reach a level of success that we want to. So it's something I think our players learn from, and we were also challenged and we were exposed in areas of where we're weak right now and what we got to try to hide our limitations as much as possible.
Now, you got a lot of question marks coming into this season. Number one is at quarterback. A lot of people want to know who's going to be the starting quarterback. Who is going to be the starter?
We kind of decided to go with more of a 2-quarterback system this year. Obviously, losing Ethan Jeffers, who meant so much to our school and to our program, it's hard to replace a guy like that. But
Absolutely.
The two guys we have, Josh Lay's going to be a junior, and Zach Rutherford, who's just a sophomore. Zach will probably start the game at quarterback. He's more of a Jeffers type quarterback. He can sling it all over the field, make any throw that we ask of him. He's a big kid. He is just a sophomore though, so the amount of we put on a quarterback here is not as much as people think it is, but there's still a lot of I wouldn't say pressure, but a lot of responsibility that comes with playing quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
Zach's handled it very well. Josh Lay's just such a dynamic athlete. He's one you can put back there. He can make something out of nothing. If we call, he can extend plays and get guys open. He'll be at receiver if he's not at quarterback. He may be at tailback some. So we're going to try to mesh those guys as best we can. But the thing about our offense and our program is more than just the quarterback. Quarterbacks are only as good as the people around them.
Yeah.
And we're very confident with the line that we have and the receivers that we have. They're all young talent. They don't have a lot of experience, but the potential for them is very high.
They're ready to go, ain't they?
Yeah.
Now, what's another question mark that you may have on this year's team?
Well, I think just offensively, you replace 10 starters, and anytime you do that, you get a lot of guys that don't have the game experience. Defensively, we got about 6 or 7 guys that started more than 5 games back, so we're confident over there that those guys, at least the experience isn't going to be an issue with them. Obviously, they had to improve and play their technique every Friday. But offensively, just that lack of experience is something that you can't simulate it in practice, even the scrimmages. You can't simulate game experience. So how those guys handle the big crowds, the environment of a Friday night, I think these guys are destined for it. I think they were born to do it. The way they practice every day is very impressive. But with that being said, there's going to be some ups and downs when you don't have experience. We've seen it with Ethan Jeffers when he was a sophomore, and some of those guys that turn out to be an all-state player. So That's the biggest concern we have is just how these guys will handle that. There's no doubt that they'll play hard, and they'll be fun to watch. And we got to let everything else take care of itself.
Of course, now you're playing a team this Friday night that's never beat you. Now, what do you expect coming into Friday night's game?
Coach Conley does a great job at Gibbs. Their identity is to be a tough football team. By the way they play offensively, they want to keep the ball away from you, run that triple off option, and just force your defense to be on the field for a very long time. Their defense is very chaotic. They're on a 3-stack base, but they run around everywhere to try to confuse you as much as possible.
They're liable to line up anywhere.
Yeah, and that can be hard on a young offense like we got. Now, with that being said, you can get some opportunities to make some big explosive plays that can get some momentum going. Last year, we beat them 14-7 and missed probably 2 or 3 wide open touchdowns.
Right.
So when we have those opportunities, we got to connect on them and get momentum on our side and be able to move the ball a little bit and get their offense off the field. The more 3-and-outs we have on Friday, the better opportunity we're going to have.
Of course, now, Coach, you mentioned they've run that triple threat offense. That plays right into your hands because your strength is on your defensive line and your linebackers. You go something like 9 deep at linebacker. So that plays right into your defense's hands, doesn't it?
Yeah, we're very confident with our defensive line. Tanner Boston, Peyton Webb, Big Mike, Elijah Powell, a couple other young guys that we're very high on. Led by those big 3. They all started last year as sophomores. Peyton Webb even started as a freshman. To me, as a collective group, probably one of the best in East Tennessee. And anytime you can control and dominate the line of scrimmage, you're going to have a chance to win a lot of football games.
Right. Frees your linebackers up a lot.
Frees those guys up. Austin Raines, who started as a sophomore, been on the field. We've won 19 games in 2 years. He's been starting every game. So that experience, we're going to lean on him a lot to make the plays. But those big guys up front will control the line of scrimmage, and it'll give our secondary, who are a bunch of young talent back there, very talented, but give those guys some time to progress as the season goes.
Right. Okay, Coach. Give us a good reason to show up this Friday night. We have to have the stadium packed this Friday night, don't we?
Yeah, we've won 10 straight games up here on our field, and that's just unheard of, and it's something we're very proud of. We've created an atmosphere up here I think is as good as anywhere in East Tennessee, being up here on the hill. The view's great. But, to come out and watch a new team, that's the fun thing about high school football is, it's sad that these guys do graduate and move on, and here comes a young batch of talent, and it's just the unknown. I think people need to come out and check these guys out. They've worked very hard, and anytime you can walk out of this locker room into a packed stadium, it means a lot to our kids.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, good luck this Friday night.
Appreciate it.
Go Cougars.
That's right.